Season 4 of Invincible has just been released, and this is starting to become one of my favorite superhero series. So come talk nerdy with me and let's break down episode 1, and only episode 1 because my phone is being a jerk and deleting all of my footage of episodes 2 and 3. Spoilers ahead. So when we first meet up with Mark, or Invincible, he's struggling with this idea that he needs to start unaliving the villains more. He's dealing with all these crazy people like Doc Seismic or Angstrom Levy, and every time they come back, they hurt more people. So it's kind of enticing, this idea. And this whole episode was just spent testing Mark's patience with that idea. Like, it just felt like it just kept poking him like, are you really gonna take people out? Are you really gonna do it? Like in the very beginning, you know, we see Mark having to take on this new villain called Dinosaurus. Awesome name, by the way. And I eventually need to actually read the Invincible comics. I'm very new to this franchise. But what we do know about Dinosaurus as of right now is it's like a werewolf situation. He's a human that turns into a homicidal psychic dinosaur. Like, that's as far as I got. I may not know much about him, but I do know that he is cool. But Mark is fighting Dinosaurus, and Dinosaurus is getting in Mark's head like, hey, you know, it's a good thing that all those people were unalived. I'm trying to avoid the K word because YouTube is very sensitive about it. And it's at this moment that we see the first like poke at Mark's patience, because when Mark is able to beat Dinosaurus, he reverts back into a human, and the human, you know, is just an innocent dude. He has no idea what's going on. He has no control over Dinosaurus, and Mark just starts choking him, and he's about to choke bro into the afterlife, at least until the Guardians show up and chill him out. And honestly, I'm thankful that Mark didn't go through with it, because one, the human side of Dinosaurus was just an innocent guy. He can't control it, you know, so maybe they could take him to Cecil and he can learn to control his dinosaur side and he eventually becomes a hero. And also because I think Dinosaurus is freaking awesome. Like, he was only in this episode for a couple minutes and I'm hooked. I want to get a Dinosaurus shirt now. The next little poke in this episode is when Mark and Eve go out to visit Eve's parents, which I'm just like, why? Why would you do that? Can we all agree that Eve's parents are probably the worst people in this entire series? Like, not in terms of like how their characters written, but just them as people. They're just horrible. Eve needs to go no contact with them like yesterday. But while Mark is talking with Eve's dad, he implies that Mark is a big reason why Eve keeps getting hurt. And basically saying, you know, if you actually did what you're supposed to do, maybe you'd actually be able to protect my daughter. And this conversation pushes Mark more into that idea that, oh, maybe I do need to start taking out my villains. And even though I may slightly agree with this idea, the fact that it came from Eve's dad makes me just want to reject it wholeheartedly. Like, nah, just because he said it, I want Mark to be a pacifist now. And honestly, I lightweight wanted Mark to just kind of snap a bit and just whoosh, Eve's dad, you know, like I would have been like, man, I didn't see nothing, man. I don't know what happened. And then while this is going on, Eve is trying to use her powers and they're starting to act a bit wonky. And at that moment when I saw it, I was just like, I hope that doesn't end up being a big deal. Spoiler alert, it does. And the universe is not done with Mark yet, because then this alien lady called Universa, I think that's her name, she shows up on Earth wanting to steal all of its power so that she could save her planet. But when Universa first showed up and she started talking, I was just like, oh gosh, her voice sounds so familiar. So I had to look it up. And she's voiced by Denai Guerrera, Okoye from the Black Panther movies. And if you know me, you know that I love me some Okoye. And I was so happy to like realize like, oh my gosh, that's her. She's an alien warlord now. Good for her. But when Mark and Eve encounter Universa and, you know, they start fighting, I feel like Universa's current ideology is parallel to what Mark is going through in terms of having to take lives in order to save more lives. Except in Universa's case, she is totally okay with taking innocent people's lives, which is a very bad thing. Don't do that. But once again, this encounter is tipping Mark further and further into that unalive people's side, and any second he's about to snap. And I have to bring this up, but during the fight when Eve's powers start to break down again, did you see that wicked punch, that punch from God that she landed on Universa? Like, ooh, that punch had me like, damn,
turn off that light!
It was just such a beautiful punch, and we've seen characters get punched really hard in this series before, and you know, it always looks like impactful, but just something about this punch that was just so clean and perfect. Like, I want to get it framed and put on my wall. It was a beautiful punch, and it needs to be admired. And then finally, we reach the culmination of this episode when the Sequids finally make their move. And I am horrified by the Sequids. I think they're gross, and I just always been terrified of the idea of something taking over my mind and then forcing me to cause harm to other people. Kind of like MAGA. They have all the Sequids trapped in this protective dome, and the Guardians are running around freeing all the people that are being infected by them, and the dome is about to break. Like, they're saying like any second, like, because the Sequids are attacking it, and Mark has the final host, and he's waiting for Bulletproof to get to him with that sonic ray thing. The dome is about to break like any second now, and Bulletproof is not close enough, so Mark has the final host in his hands, so he just pops the dude's head open, thus stopping the Sequid invasion. And after Mark did that, all the Guardians are looking at him like, uh-oh, it's giving Omni-Man. Honestly though, like, in my opinion, I think Mark made the right decision. I get it, the astronaut was totally innocent, he was just under the Sequid's control, but that dome was gonna break, and there were so many Sequids, they were gonna infect the entire world. Like, Mark had to do it. If I was the astronaut that just had his head popped open by Mark, I would be upset, you know, I'd be frustrated, I would have rather stayed alive, but also, I wouldn't want to put the world at stake. Like, if it's gonna save the world, you know, hey, Invincible, do what you gotta do. Do you think Mark did the right thing, or should he have waited for Bulletproof? Let me know down in the comments. Oh, and I gotta talk about this thing that had me so frustrated. So in the end credit scene of episode 1, we see Conquest finally waking up underneath that GDC facility, like restrained by all those titanium restraints or something, and he's like deep underground. And according to Cecil, there was no way for him to escape. In little under 10 seconds, Conquest not only broke free of his restraints, but he also sunk the entire facility into the ground, like it is completely destroyed. Now Conquest is free, flying booty butt naked through space to, I'm assuming, to the Viltrum Empire. Now here's why I'm frustrated, because I'm usually team Cecil. Like throughout the series, I agreed with the stuff he did, for the most part. I thought him forcing the captured supervillains into working for the GDC was a good idea, because like I felt like Cecil is a less devious and cruel version of Amanda Waller from the Suicide Squad. He genuinely cares about the world and the people in it. Like I feel like he's a good person that just has to make tough decisions. But keeping Conquest alive was stupid. There was no evidence throughout the entire series that Cecil could contain a Viltrumite, yet it was like, oh no, we totally got him, he's fine. He wasn't fine. They should have just let Conquest pass away and then turn his body into a Reaniman like they're doing with all the evil variants of Invincible. But no, Conquest is now free, booty butt naked, and going back to the Viltrum Empire. But I really want to know your thoughts. Let me know down in the comments, what did you think of episode 1 of Invincible? And since you're down there, also let me know what you thought of episodes 2 and 3. Once again, I apologize for the technical difficulties. It's all Cecil's fault. First he let Conquest go, and now this. Like I said earlier, Invincible is starting to become one of my favorite superhero series, and I can see this season being a top contender for the Best Superhero Series award. Much like the shows in this video, which you should totally click on and watch by the way, and I'll see you in a bit.